and that each one of us is uplifted, inspired, and blessed by the words that he speaks. So each one of us I know, surrenders to this experience, bringing a consciousness of light. And collectively, we rejoice and celebrate every moment of this transformative experience we call a Sunday morning service. And it is in this consciousness I let go now and let it be so, and so it is. Amen. Now, I have been given by Reverend Michael, our speaker this morning, a beautiful inspirational reading which will set the stage for his talk later on. And it is by Dr. Carol Carnes, former senior minister of Calgary Center for Spiritual Living. And it starts with the epigraph by Ralph Waldo Emerson. When a mind is simple and receives divine wisdom, then old things pass away. And it continues. If my perception of myself is that I am unworthy of love, then even though I may attract a suitable partner, eventually I will find a way to prove to them that I'm unlovable, and they will agree. It is stunning how creative the ego can be in making sure our perception becomes our experience. The most amazing part is that never is the other person to blame for the outcome of our relationships. It is our perception of ourselves that leads the way. The more we blame others for our feelings, the more out of touch with our self-perception we are. It is good to daily affirm our spiritual wholeness and call in its qualities. Command love to permeate your mind, to dissolve those old images of rejection, to raise your perception of who you are and what is possible for you. Call in the quality of joy and tell it that you are a willing expression of it. Direct peace to have its way with you. Demand self-respect to be your companion. Make sure you're not trying to feel the pain of an old wound. Declare it to be healed. One thing we do not want to be right about is how victimized we are. That will only lead to more of the same. And in closing this inspirational reading, I remind you how we started by Ralph Waldo Emerson. When a mind is simple and receives divine wisdom, then old things pass away. Isn't that lovely? Really lovely. And as we go on now, our praise song is found on page 2. And guess what? The words and the music is written by our own Steve Golding. Can you give us a chord? Mm-hmm. I turn within, dear Lord, for there you dwell, in my heart of hearts, where all is well. The love, the peace and joy that His Spirit expressed, I find it's me, dear Lord, and make manifest. Again, I turn within, the Lord, for there you dwell, in my heart of hearts, well. The love, the peace and joy that His Spirit expressed, I find this made, Lord, and make manifest. Beautiful song. Thank you, Steve. And now we'll have the lighting of the candle. Yay! So I have lit this candle on behalf of all the people of the world. Let us behold the Christ in them. And so it is. So it is. And we go on with our beautiful prayer of our center. And you may remain seated for that. Ready? The Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living is a sacred field embodying our spiritual community from which the Christ, peace, love, and joy emanate to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, and to liberate anyone who comes into contact with it in any way. The light of the Christ illumines us, our center, and our environment. Our spiritual community is filled with and surrounded by the presence of God and is growing from strength to strength. The power of God expands our consciousness of truth, guiding us ceaselessly along the paths of wisdom, spiritual growth, unfoldment, and attainment. We are blessed, and to God be the honor and the glory forever. And so it is. Amen. Well, our temple mission song, who by now you know it was written by Maestro Noel Dexter, a long-term member of our church, comes next. And don't mind if you move a bit. I'm going to do so because I just love this song. So please sing up loudly and enjoy it. Temple of light, the temple of light, the temple of light. We are people with a vision, one spirit on mission, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, to love and liberate anyone who comes into contact with us. The temple of light, the temple of light, the temple of light. We are a people with a vision, one spirit on a mission, to touch, to heal, to bless, to prosper, to love and liberate anyone who comes into contact with us, anytime, night or day.
Amen.
Please join us on Facebook Live. We have a presence there. Our spiritual healing services are on Tuesdays, and this one is Tuesday, July 14, and it's at 6 p.m. come right on and join Facebook Live. You will get emails if you're on our email list, and just go in anyway and invite a friend. And this week, our practitioner who is sharing with us is none other than Carol Campbell. She's bringing the message and the healing prayers. And then on Sunday, July 9th, at 9 a.m., I'm asked to remind it's Eastern Standard Time, our speaker will be our pastor, Reverend John Scott, and he'll be supported as host by practitioner Jennifer Livingston. Services at the temple in the sanctuary. All right, please remember that you have to call the office at 946-2230 if you're intending to attend our Sunday celebration in person. As you know, congregants attending must wear a face mask and observe the prescribed protocols. I've gotten permission to have mine off at the podium. If you can't bless us with your presence, at least make sure that you tune in live on Facebook. Classes, Reverend John Scott will start Thursday morning classes. He started, and it will continue this week from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Thursdays. The theme is soul connecting. What an interesting theme. So if you haven't attended, it's not too late, just join. And this topic is particularly relevant for this particular time. So call the office so that they can prepare for you, and the number is 9276145 to indicate your intention to attend. This morning at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time, you're invited to join Reverend John Scott for Discovery. You will enjoy the lively conversation which takes place, and it's about how to apply the principles of the science of mind and spirit for our daily lives. Prayer support. We continue to respond with prayer to the challenges of this special time. So listen for inspiring prayer by calling our prayer line, and you will get a recorded message, and the number is 876-978-1167. And if you wish to speak in person to one of the ministers, they may be reached at 876-289-0907, and they're available from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. midnight. That sounds like 12 a.m. midnight, Monday to Friday. And you can also phone in your prayer requests into our office, and the number for that is 927-6145 or 946-2230. Or you may email the Temple of Light at cwjamaica.com. You may drop off your prayer requests, tithes, offerings, and set appointments for practitioner assistance. Funds may also be transferred to our savings account. Listen up, number 20941, 20941, Bank of Nova Scotia, New Kingston branch. And we also have a PayPal account with a donate button, which you will see on our LoveStream on Facebook Live. Now this concludes our announcements, and you have been very attentive, and I appreciate that. Now we will continue in preparation for our wonderful talk, which I'm so looking forward to. We will sing this beautiful song, I Believe, and it's found on page 3. So you're going to sing it with all your hearts. If you wish to stand, you may do so.
A flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night a candle glows. I believe for everyone who goes astray, time will come to show the way. I believe above the storm the smallest prayer will still be heard. I believe that someone in that great somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry or touch a lip, or see the sky,
Oh, thank you, thank you. You really put your heart and soul into it. Thanks so much. This has been wonderful. And now, the highlight of this morning's service. I have great pleasure in introducing to all of you who already know him and those who may not as yet know him, Rev Michael Reckord, author, playwright, motivational speaker, university lecturer, and I do think he has a little bit of acting in his background. He does, he says he does. And most of all, I know him as a diligent seeker after truth. And so it is in that context this morning that he will channel the spirit of truth to inspire us, to bless us, and to allow us to leave here feeling uplifted. Reverend Michael, I invite you to the podium.
Thank you very much, Reverend Sonia. That was a splendiferous introduction. Yes, there is such a word, I gather. Good morning, friends. Greetings to congregants who are here in the sanctuary of this church, the Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living, in beautiful Kingston, Jamaica. And also greetings to you who are listening to me via the incredible internet. For those who are tuning in for the first time, we are a religious science church, and our teaching, religion, and philosophy is called Science of Mind. It was founded about a century ago in the United States by Ernest Holmes, and centers are found all around the world. It is a beautiful day here in Kingston. Already a bit warm, but there's a bit of a breeze, and I'm happy for that. I'm happy too to be here on the podium again, as the face-to-face services were suspended for several weeks because of you know what. Now, affirmations written by our congregants are mailed daily from the center. And on Wednesday, the thought of the day, that's what we call our affirmations, was by 17-year-old Shani. She declared, I quote, "I am supported by the universal bond, God's love, that connects all life," unquote. Isn't that a beautiful statement? So beautiful that I'd like you to repeat it with me. I am supported by the universal bond, God's love that connects all life. Beautiful, Shani. Lovely. Thank you. Now, Shani has been at the Temple of Light since she was 8 or 9. And somewhere along the way, probably in one of the Sunday school classes, she learned that truth, the truth that she stated in her affirmation. It's a science of mind principle which, unfortunately, is not known or believed by most of the world. And I would say, in a nutshell, that is the root of humanity's problem. They do not realize their connection with God and their support always by God. You'll see what I mean in this talk that I have titled 7 Concepts That Make Religious Science Unique. Shani may have got the idea in her affirmation that she so poetically expressed directly from an essay by the great American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson. Reverend Sonia mentioned him just a while ago. I realized that when I read this slightly tweaked passage by Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder. I quote, "It is a popular belief that those who practice this science are a class of people who declare that everything is perfect when, as a matter of fact, everything in the objective experience of the race is not perfect, and indeed is far from being perfect. The popular idea of the practice of spiritual science, this popular idea of the practice of spiritual science is entirely a misconception. Religious scientists are not people who believe that wrong is right, that evil is good, that limitation is freedom, that bondage is liberty, or that sickness is health. They do not claim that our objective experience is an illusion, but they do make the claim that behind the phenomena of human and material existence, behind the slow and persistent process of evolution, there is, as Emerson stated, one mind common to all people. They claim that this mind is perfect, and they have access to this mind. I unquote the words of Dr. Ernest Holmes. Let me now expand a bit on Emerson's simple phrase, one mind common to all. We religious scientists claim, and this is the first concept that makes us unique as a religion, that there is one mind. Other religions believe humans have minds separate from one another and from God. They believe in a devil with an evil mind, and some believe in many gods. We don't believe in the devil, and we believe in one God. A number of things flow logically from the concept of one mind. The first is that since we humans think, which is what minds do, then we must be using the one mind to think. Dr. Holmes went on to say that religious scientists believe that the one mind is perfect. That means the one mind is God. There couldn't be God in one part of the universe and a perfect mind which we use in another part. The two must be one and the same. So, to repeat, religious science is making the claim that we use God's one perfect mind. Now think about that. We're thinking with God's perfect mind. We're also saying that that mind is infinitely creative. It never stops creating. And that mind, God, created the universe, the seen and unseen, by thinking. The book of Genesis says that God spoke the universe into existence, which is pretty much the same thing. One writer in the Bible actually had the insight thousands of years ago to declare that things which are seen come from things which are not seen. The visible comes from the invisible. Now, just as the universe originated with thought, God's thought, all human accomplishments originate in thought too. So our creative thinking process is a reflection in microcosm of the divine creative process. In the same way that God created the universe, we create our individual worlds. Same process. Now, having heard that in class, Shani clearly made a big leap in reasoning. She said to herself, and I'm sure I'm paraphrasing, she wouldn't have used these exact words. She said to herself, if God is the mind we use to think, to support ourselves in this world, and God is perfect, then God must be loving. Anything that supports us all the time, unconditionally, is, by definition, loving. And Shani probably went on to say that God is love, which is how the Bible puts it. And then Shani remembered that not only people think, so do cats and dogs and horses and dolphins. So they too must use the one mind. And at that stage, Shani came up with her beautiful declaration, which we heard earlier. I am supported by the universal bond, God's love, that connects all life. It is a logical conclusion. Some of you might be reasoning that religious scientists are saying that God must be the creator of the bad things, bad quotes unquotes, that happen in our lives. Well, we are saying that spirit is a transcendent, perfect whole that contains and embraces all seeming opposites, what we call bad and what we call good. We teach that God is all there is, and all there is God. But you may ask, as a mango tree can't bear apples, how could a good, loving God produce evil? Good question. A thinking person's question. Well, let me quickly categorically say, there is no devil, Satan, Lucifer, whatever he's called. and that God gave human beings free will. Now there's a secret. God gave human beings free will so that we can choose what we experience, whether it be positive or negative. We don't need a devil to tempt us. We're using God's mind. Unfortunately, some people choose the negative. And by negative, I mean things that hurt others. But just logically, if God is everywhere, God is omnipresent, there is no place left for heaven or hell, for Satan, or hell. Neither were we born in sin, created in iniquity, as we read someplace, and neither are we inherently sinful, as some religions claim. The belief in our essential goodness, indeed spiritual perfection, is the second major teaching that makes religious science different from most others. Here's another way of looking at the question of so-called evil. That inspirational passage that Reverend Sonia read earlier was about perception. As all adults come to realize eventually that many things that we perceive as bad are not bad in themselves. And if we change our perception, the things could change. Or maybe they're just not wanted by us at a particular time. Like, for example, rain falling when you want to go to the beach. That for you is bad. But rain falling when your plants need watering is good. Same rain. And that ushers in a third. I hope you're keeping count. 1, 2, 3. This is a third important defining religious science principle. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. That means by changing your thinking, you can change your life. Which is the name, by the way, of a course that Reverend John, our pastor, teaches in the Tower Street prison in Kingston, Jamaica. Changing your way of thinking is entirely up to you. And it really means becoming a different person. Now, that's what Jesus means when he tells Nicodemus in the Gospel of St. John, you must be born again if you want to enter the kingdom of heaven. Oh, by the way, please don't think when I say that your fate is entirely in your hands, that I'm saying that you don't need God's help. Remember my starting position. We are always using the one mind to think and decide. God is always supporting us in what we do, whatever we do. Perhaps the most important of religious science's differentiating concepts is this fourth one, spiritual mind treatment, also called affirmative prayer. This is an amazing tool, and it's a way of praying that is the opposite of the praying of Orthodox religions. Their prayers tend to be ones that beg, ask, even beseech. Affirmative prayer essentially gives thanks for what we have already been given. Affirmative prayer is also, in its standard form, a structured, step-by-step way of praying. We believe the biblical promise, before they ask, I will answer, and it is the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. We believe that infinite good is eternally available, like an everlasting buffet with everything you could possibly want to eat. The goodness of God is ready to flow into human existence, into human experience, and we activate this flow by means of prayer. Through affirmative prayer, we increase our consciousness of eternal good flowing into us. Now, potentially, there is nothing that prayer, given the right consciousness, can't do. Let me get scientific for a bit with this editor's description of a book by a renowned author. You'll recognize the name. In The Science of Miracles, the quantum language of healing, peace, feeling, and belief by Greg Braden, we discover that paradigm-shattering revelations that demonstrate why we are not limited by the laws of physics and biology as we know them today, and why our DNA is a code that we can change and upgrade by choice. The implications of these discoveries are vast, powerful, and for some, challenging. They show us beyond a reasonable doubt that we can reverse disease, redefine aging, create peace between nations, and even change reality, so-called reality itself, through the focused power of belief and heart-based emotions. It is these seeming miraculous abilities that create the life-affirming joys in our life that become the realities of our world. They're all based on the same principle. In the first years of the 21st century, scientists have confirmed the existence of a field of energy that connects us with everything in our world, given names that range from the quantum hologram and the field to the divine matrix and the mind of God. Research has shown that through the conduits of this energy, the feelings, beliefs, and prayers within us change the world around us. Unquote. That first part of the description is a real eye-opener. I'm sure you'd agree with me. The blurb from the editors continues for another couple of sentences, and I'll read them. They show that the teaching is not new. I quote, "Interestingly, our most ancient and cherished spiritual traditions have offered the same wisdom for over 5,000 years. Both science and ancient traditions agree on a couple of key points regarding this energy field. There is a precise language, and language is in quotes, that it recognizes, unquote. The editors say that that language is the language of our feelings, beliefs, and prayers. It is what we in religious science call our consciousness. Belief in the power of consciousness is a cornerstone of science of mind. The fifth concept making us unique, that belief in the power of what we call consciousness. To elaborate, our consciousness is the sum total of our beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and awareness. Our consciousness determines our success or failure in life. How? Through the law of attraction. The creative God mind which we use responds to our consciousness, essentially our feelings. And as we are always thinking and feeling, then God, an infinite creative mind, is constantly responding. It can't stop. Let me elaborate a little bit. The way the law of attraction works is that whatever we are feeling is supported and acted upon by the universe's creative forces. So if we are feeling something which we call negative, like hate, for example, then we'll get something negative, something akin to hate. What we are thinking and feeling attracts that which is like itself. The law of attraction, in brief, is like attracts like. So if you want good, you have to have a consciousness of good. If you don't want it, if you don't have it now, you must develop it. Your success in life begins with you. The same principle that brings us freedom, prosperity, and joy also allows us to experience bondage, lack, or misery. Now, though all thought is creative, the most powerful creative thought, the most powerful creative consciousness is the consciousness, the thought, at the deeper level of your mind, the subconscious. Dr. Holmes calls it the subjective mind. And that is the part of the mind that the universe most strongly responds to. And Dr. Holmes explains why. It is because our subconscious or subjective mind is the section of the mind that is actually a part of universal mind. I know I was talking earlier about one mind, but think of your mind like your body. Your one body has different parts with different functions. So there is your conscious mind. For convenience, we call that one part conscious, and the other part subconscious or subjective. And it's the subjective mind that is a part of universal consciousness. We now come to the sixth unique concept. Religious scientists also believe in a practice called visioning. In this practice, Spirit guides us instantly and unerringly. The ministers of this church vision maybe 8 or 9 times a year. Would you say about 8 or 9 times? She's agreeing. On Monday at our meeting, we visioned on the format and theme of this weekend's practitioners' retreat. After we went through our ritual, including asking 4 specific questions, we got such beautiful answers that Reverend John remarked on how amazing it was. Previously, he had told us that the North American Science of Mind practitioners vision before all important events. So visioning is a very important and integral part of religious science. You who are interested in the process should perhaps consult your pastor. It's not something that I have discussed at any length with anyone. So there may be aspects of visioning of which I'm unaware. Talk to your pastors. And finally, here is the 7th concept of the lot. We believe that Christ is not a person, but a principle, a universal presence, the universal image of God that is present in all creation. That is a principle of Christ. Each human individual partakes of the Christ nature to the degree that he or she recognizes the cosmic Christ within and lives out of that revelation. Now, Jesus of Nazareth, whom we often call Jesus Christ, as if Christ was a surname, Jesus of Nazareth was a human individual who revealed the Christ nature to the highest degree ever known. It is he who says time and again in the Gospels, "It is done unto you as you believe." And he's talking there about deep consciousness and almost echoing the words of Proverbs written hundreds and hundreds of years before. Words of Proverbs 23, verse 7. "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." Note the phrase, "in his heart." It's not just superficially. We're talking about, again, that deep consciousness. Friends, please cultivate the correct consciousness, and all will be well in your world. Namaste. Thank you. I now have very, very great pleasure in inviting a special gentleman to the podium. He's Tony Henry, and today is his birthday, and he is going to sing I'll Never Walk Alone. Tony Henry.
Just to share that this is to my mom. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high. And don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Tony Henry, multi-talented dancer, dance teacher, singer, and currently is our technician. Multi-talented. Thank you, Tony. That was so beautiful. And we are now going to have some equally beautiful words in the prayer of Jamaica. They appear in the program for those in the temple on page 3, and for those online, they will be on the screen. The prayer of Jamaica. Together, the radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island, Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill, peace, uprightness, integrity, joy, prosperity, kindness, and our oneness under God are now established, and so it is. Thank you. We will now have the closing affirmative prayer, followed by the peace song. But just before that, may I remind you that Tuesday's speaker for Tuesday evening 6 o'clock service is Carol Campbell. And next week, Sunday, our pastor will be the main speaker, Reverend John Scott, and he will be hosted by practitioner Jennifer Livingston. Now, please join me in the closing affirmative prayer, followed by the peace song. We go within, and within we find God, the source of our joy, the source of peace, prosperity, the source of all the blessings, all the goodness that we receive in this universe. And we open our hearts and minds especially to the love of God. And we know that we take the blessings that we have been receiving and continue to receive with us as we go our different destinations after this service. And we use those blessings, we use those gifts to make our lives happy, joyful, successful, and the lives too of friends, family, and acquaintances. We are all joined together by God's mind, by God's love. And knowing that because we have an awareness at a very deep level of that truth about our unity with our life and with God, all is well in our lives. This is the truth. I release my words to the law of mind, and I give thanks that as I have spoken, it is so, and so it is. Yes, there is peace on earth. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant with God as our Father, family all are free. Yes, perfect harmony. Perfect, perfect.